Alright guys, we're back and we're going to add some materials to that rock. What we want to do is we want to go into render view. Once we go into render view, I want to come here, drag this window and expand it. And I want to hit this drop down box and I want to go to shader editor. For the shader editor, if we click on the rock, nothing pops up here and we have new. If we click on the leaves, you'll see we have these things called nodes. This line between these two nodes, the principal shader and the material node, is a line. They call this a noodle. These are sockets. You notice that the green is connected with green, yellow, gray, purple, and they're color coded for a reason, so you know that yellow connects with yellow, gray connects with gray, purple connects with purple, and so forth. Now, if we click the rock and we want to do a new material, we can hit new. If we do new, you'll notice that this looks awful familiar actually, and it's over here in this material tabs. This is the same thing as right here. And the reason we're going into the shader editor, you can make way more complex textures or materials, which we're mainly just doing materials. We're not really doing textures right now. We will later on, but for now we're just going to do materials. And we're going to make a little bit more complex material than just a simple green or brown or gray. And we're going to do that by adding other nodes. And we're only going to use a few basic nodes to kind of get you started. So what I want to do is I want to hit Shift A, and it's the same thing as in the window up here. If we're adding another object, you're just going to hit Shift A to let Blender know that, hey, we want to add another node. And I'm going to go to texture coordinate here under input, go to input, texture coordinate, drop that node right there. I'm going to grab that and move it over, and I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to go down here to texture. I know we said we wasn't making a texture, but we're going to use this texture node to make a material. I want to go over here to Musgrave. Once we have that, I want to hit Shift A, come down to converter, and I want to grab up here at the top color ramp. Once I grab the color ramp, grab that, I want to click drag for a box select, hit G to move all those over, and I'm going to go ahead and link all these up. So what I want to do is I want to go right here to this purple socket that says object. These are different settings, and what this is doing is telling Blender how to view this texture based off of the coordinates, a generated coordinate or UV. And this, we will go into this later. It's nothing to worry about. Let's just stick to simple here. Let's go to object, click drag that line or noodle out to this purple socket here, which is named vector. Take this one named height, move it into this socket called factor, and then take this color, the yellow, and add it to base color. And if you notice, we've got a total different look of a rock. Almost looks like a Dalmatian. As you can keep that as black and white if you want. You can also make the black more dominant by moving this black slider up, or you can make it less dominant and have the white more dominant. And it also makes the lines between the two colors a lot more cleaner instead of so blurry and faded out. So play with that a little bit. I'm going to bring this white back just a little bit. And there we go. Now, you also notice if you go into this texture node, you can play with the scale of that. The detail, you can play with that. And you notice that morphs those little patches there a little bit. You can go to dimension, change that around. You can't really see what it's doing right now, but you will in a little bit. And then there's linearity. So what we want to do is I want to take this white and I want to come down here to where this white bar is, click it, and you'll notice we'll get a color wheel. I want to take that white and turn it into a gray. And I want to take this black and I want to change this to green. The reason I want to change this to green is I want to make this rock look like it's got moss. So we'll put it to a green that we like. I'll probably darken it just a little bit. And then we'll play with the scale and the detail to get something that we like. black in there. It's almost too much. Or up. There's no set number on any of this. You just play around till you get to something that you like. Now you can't really see what I'm doing or the detail of what I'm doing. I'm kind of just playing around to see what happens. As far as the scale, I want to scale this down, and if this number is smaller, these patches get bigger. And actually I want to do 1.6, leave that there. And then the detail, let's go with a 13.3. I'm just grabbing random numbers. As you can tell, the detail kind of makes that look a little bit differently. And the dimension, let's go with 1.4. And this, I want to do 22.4. Once we do that, you notice that it looks like moss. And we can play with this just a little bit. Let's give it a little bit more detail. And pretty happy with that. We may change the scale a little bit to kind of, there we go. Kind of like that right there. That looks nice. It's not too much. So there we go. I'll keep that there. That way it looks like a moss growing on the rock. Now what I want to do is I want to rename this material as rock 1. Hit enter. And then I want to click on this rock and add a new material. We're going to go ahead and name this as rock 2. Once we do that, this one's going to be even easier. I'm going to hit Shift A, and I want to go to texture, and I want to add a Voronoi texture, and then Shift A. I want to add another color ramp converter, remember, and then color ramp. I always have a problem remembering where color ramp is. For me, I struggle with that at least. So I want to scroll in. What I want to do is take distance, the gray socket, connect to this gray socket, factor. And then I want to take this color, connect it to the yellow socket on our principal shader or base color. And as you can tell, it has did a way different texture look or layout of a texture or color than what this did, the musgrove. Now I want to change the colors of this and change the size. So I'm going to first of all take this white and get it there because I kind of want this to look like a spotted or speckled rock. Take this and turn it gray, and I want to take that black and I want to change it to a white. And then I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to hit this plus symbol to add another slider in here. And I'm going to take this one, change that to maybe a darker gray, almost black, a little bit darker. And as you can tell, it gives it a little bit different layout. It gives it a ring around that white spot on it. And the same with this one. You can scale it, do whatever you need. You can have big specks, but I want mine to be little bitty specks. Makes it look a little bit better, I think. And you can change the randomness so it's a little bit more uniform, so there's no randomness. And then you can add all randomness, so it's randomly put across the rock. So now I want to hit Shift A and input, add a texture coordinate. I want to add all this that we just done with the object. So connect this to the vector, and there we go. Our little specks are randomly placed across the object. And now what we want to do is I want to take these two materials. Instead of creating more materials for this, I want to select these objects. Instead of hitting new, I want to hit this drop down of this material symbol here, the same thing we found in the materials tab here. Hit that drop down, and you'll see that we have every material listed that we have in this scene. I want to hit rock 1 to put for that one. Same for this one. Rock 1. This one, I'm going to do rock 2. This one, actually I'm going to do this one as rock 1. Material with the moss. And take this one and do it as a Mach 2. And there we go. We've got it through the camera lens, and then you can hit F12 to render that and then save it and everything else. Hopefully that was a short, simple introduction to some of the texture nodes and how you can make a little bit more complex materials and styles instead of these just base flat colors. Now get in here and play with this, but don't add more nodes than what you see here, these 3. Add your texture coordinate, change up your texture node here to random ones to see how it affects your material, and play with your color ramp. Add more of these in there, play with different colors, see what you get. Once you start doing that, then you can expand out and try other things, and you can get really in depth with this, and it takes a lot of time to really grasp it. I think for some people, at least for me, I kind of struggled with understanding texture nodes, but the more I've played with it, I've learned more. I'm still no pro at it, but you know, I'm still learning, and hopefully I've talked with a little bit of knowledge I have and been able to share it with you guys and give you all a way to easily understand it and give you all a setup that you feel comfortable you can play with, grow on that. So if you don't mind, give me a like and a subscribe, leave me some comments below, and we'll see you in the next one, because in the next one we're going to get rid of this sky and make that look a little bit different. And like I said in the last one, maybe leave me some comments about something else we can add to this scene, or maybe we'll move on and do something else, or maybe we'll make different trees, who knows. But I'll see you in the next one.